Good afternoon, folks. Today I'm here with Dennis. Known each other online for a while now, have some common friends, and I'll turn it over to Dennis to introduce himself and give us a little bit about his backstory and Tenkara and whatnot.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Dennis Vander Houwen. I run a blog called Tenkara Path. I started Tenkara back in 2008, 2009, something like that. So doing it a little while, came across it honestly, and at the time it was life-changing for me. I was dealing with combat PTSD, and I'd already started Western fly fishing, but was running into issues with that. I have a little bit of a background in Zen meditation, and was getting kind of caught up in the line management, was kind of breaking up that Zen experience of fly fishing for me. And when my mother-in-law actually turned me on to Tenkara through an article she saw in the Denver Post and shared with me. And so I started checking it out, bought my first Tenkara rod, and started just going out and using it. Started having great success and didn't have all of the line issues. Decided I was going to just sort of write a little bit about my Tenkara experience along the way. I started really appreciating a lot of the traditions and the basicness and simplicity of Tenkara, and that set me down a path of minimalism in my own life. And I made my blog primarily now about writing about the things of taking the aspects of Tenkara and applying them to everyday life. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell right now, big nutshell. But
did you start your blog up after Tenkara? Right,
right. I think my first blog post is actually about my first trip out. Okay. It was in April, and I think I caught 2 fish that day. And as the story goes, I lost my hemostat, and so I stopped by a fly shop to pick up a new one. And the guy, "Is that all you need?" And it's like, "Yeah, that's all I need." He says, "Well, better that than losing your reel or whole things." So I don't have a reel. "Oh, Tenkara." I said, "Yeah, I do Tenkara." And it was that point I knew that was what I was going to do. I got rid of all my Western gear, and this has been kind of my focus, the thing that I'm doing. And it's become so much, it's strangely become so much a part of my life that it's the constant that's there.
And what have you got on your to-do list for the new year?
Well, yeah, definitely this is going to be a great year for me for fishing. My career kind of ended with the COVID. I was a professional magician. And so in essence, I'm virtually retired. I've been working, I had another job that I was doing working at the University of Colorado teaching communications education. And I'm continuing to do that. So that's income, takes care of my health insurance, that sort of thing. But a lot more of my time is freed up. I know for this year, I plan on taking some road trip. And I have places I want to go, new places I want to explore, and that's and some old places that I just found at the end of last summer season. That it's like, oh, I need to come back here in the spring and see what it's like. So that and the woodworking that I do, the wood shop stuff. So I will probably be doing. I have a Etsy page that I sell stuff on too. So well, I have line spools and lines that I started doing. Some fancy nippers that I found. I'm looking at having a spring sale where I've got a bunch of just one-offs of bench caddies that they basically go on the post of your vise, and they're wood and you can put your tools in them, that sort of thing. So, and then the lines, I started doing these lines, and I was really amazed at how popular they became. So those have been actually keeping me pretty busy too, because I make them as people are ordering.
Maybe it's maybe something about Tenkara, but it seems like a lot of folks that get into it, that's like a path that a lot of people go down, this rabbit hole of like all these different lines. I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. When you see someone new getting into it, it seems like you see folks like, well, could you use this? Could you do that? Could you use this for a line? What about this? It just seems, really like with fly fishing, you kind of,
yeah, you go commercial.
You're not going to make a weight forward floating line, right?
Right.
But
maybe that's something. I'm a maker, so for me, it's when I see things that's like, oh, I want to try to make that. That's my approach.
What are the lines that you're making? What are they like?
Well, I actually sourced several, they're a pre-factory made line. And what I end up doing is putting the loops on them. So I buy the line in bulk. It comes in a variety of colors. I think that was one of the things, I think I stumbled across the material first in a garage sale. And there was this really crazy rainbow line. I think uh, Jason Class did a review of it at the time, and what was really nice was the variegation of the colors of the line. So if you wanted to drop your line in an extra foot, you could do that exactly 1 foot. You'd watch it go down. So you'd be fishing wet line, but just to get a little more depth on your pass through. They kind of taken off. They're now in a variety of colors, lemon and lemon lime. So it's kind of a transition of greens and yellows. I've got one that's more like a flame fire truck, like red, to an orange, and then to a yellow. They're very visual, I think, is the thing. So no matter what sort of lighting situation you're in, you can see them. But no matter what color they are, they're basically the same line.
So the places that you like to go fish out there, are you a big stream, small stream guy?
Oh, not really. I kind of am drawn to the meadows a little bit. When I can find a meadow that has a stream running through it, those are always great. Nothing with a lot of overhead, but I'm happy fishing anywhere where there's a stream that most people wouldn't fish. I'll take a trip into basically, I just take my minimal stuff up with me and a lunch, head up a trail and see what I can find.
Where are you in Colorado? I mean, not exactly, obviously.
I'm south of Denver, and I'm about maybe 20 minutes from what would be Bear Creek, another 30 minutes from what would be Clear Creek are the two primary. I can also, we have a place called Waterton Canyon, which is the South Platte, flows into our reservoir. That's probably close to closest that I have between. So somewhere just between Bear Creek and the Platte, somewhere in here, but over here. So yeah, I've got good access to water, and I think that's probably been the other thing that's helped me work on my Tenkara process. My and being able to go out and do it.
So what's your Tenkara? Like, what kind of angler are you? Are you mostly doing what people would describe as like traditional Tenkara style stuff, or are you?
Yeah, I think I do. I primarily fish Sakasa Kibari. I don't, very seldom, I might throw on a Griffin's Gnat or something like that, but for the most part, I really like just the picking pockets and doing dead drifts through areas, sometimes letting it float low, sometimes letting it float on the surface, just trying different things when I get to a piece of water. I like to kind of read the water, and if the sight fishing aspect is really easy here in Colorado and a lot of places too. So we've got really some nice pristine water at certain times of year. Before runoff or long after runoff, you've got places you can see the fish holding out. And a lot of times it becomes, I think after a while, it becomes intuitive that, oh, there's a fish there, I bet. And that's when you get into the real accurate casting. I'm going to toss back into there, not too far, not too close. I want it to be, so maybe that's the part about Tenkara that I like the most, is just how accurate you could be with your casts.
The knock on or the misunderstanding of Tenkara is that somehow it doesn't involve casting.
Right. Yeah.
They know about it, but obviously it does. And I tried to, I remember when I gave a talk about it, people will be like, oh, before the talk, oh, that'd be great for dapping, is what people say. Mm-hmm. And then you would explain to them, you'd say, well, actually no, because if you have a 12-foot rod and you have a line that's short enough to dap with, then when you hook a fish, it's hard to get the fish, because you got this, so it's not great for that, unless you've got somewhere where you can dap, up on rocks or boulders or something like that.
Yeah.
You mentioned casting and, reading the water, and I can speak for myself. like Tenkara made me learn how to read the water so much better for a variety of reasons. I mean, I did like a whole season of like a one fly season. And so you take that variable out, and if you're like a scientific mind, you're like, you want to reduce as many variables as you can. So if you get rid of the fly variable, then, you know, I'm not catching fish. You take fly out of it. Well, what else could it be? The short story for me anyway was casting. You know, I felt like the biggest thing that it made, which seems I don't know, not counterintuitive, but maybe not intuitive, that going one fly would improve your casting, but it really did, because what it did, it makes you say like, well, I know there's fish here. I'm not catching them. Like, why not? I'm not going to change my fly. So then you start casting to different spots. So you start casting, you know, and you're trying to I need to get right next to that rock or up under that branch. And so you improve your casting because you have to, and then B, you start to find places that fish live that you didn't know about.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I mean, when I did a year of one fly, and I still kind of do that. For me, when I did that year of one, I think it was one of the best things I ever did for my Tenkara fishing technique. Not and absolutely for the casting, but in addition to that, the presentation itself and understanding what the fly was doing. Like you're saying, you'd find fish in places you wouldn't think, because and it happens sometimes completely by accident, because you're just practicing and trying to try a different, oh, there's a fish over here that just, you know, zipped over and grabbed it. I didn't see that coming.
You're going out for a day trip, and what's your fly? What do you have with you?
Usually I have a small box that's mostly my one fly. I might have a couple variations, something that I'm trying out. But what I do is I'll load my spool. The spools that I make have, this is one of the spring designs. They hook into a spring. That was actually Jason Class's idea. So we should do that. And so I'll load this up. Usually there'll be my tippet. I put on there's a band here. So you put the tippet, load my tippet in here, extra tippet, and then I just put my line that's in use on here. And that's what I carry with me, that and a net and my nippers and hemostat.
So what's your one fly? Can you describe that for us?
Sure. It's a variegated brown, tan, and kind of creamy colored thread that changes colors as you tie it. Okay. And what I like about this is that I can get lighter colored flies as well as darker colored flies off the same spool. And it was an exercise that I do in creativity is you take away those variants, as you're saying. So if you have too many choices, you tend to not push yourself to think outside the box. And when you're limited, you actually have, your brain actually kicks into better ways of solving problems. I tie them sometimes stiff hackle, sometimes soft hackle, but they're mostly like a brown Sakasa Kapari thread body. That's kind of my one fly, size 12. Typically, I might do a couple smaller, you know, just to have.
You're driving out to the stream, and you're going to put on some music. You're tying flies. What are you listening to?
You know, it's funny. There are days when I'm driving up to the stream that I just want to clear my head. So a lot of times I just won't listen to anything at all. I think probably if I had to have like one album that I would listen to, that I could listen to endlessly, Talking Heads, Stop Making Sense. And I can tie flies to that. I can, you know, it's just, there's so much of the lyrics in that speak to me. They take me to the water. I mean, if you want to, I was going to play a theme song heading up to the mountains, take me to the water, drop me in the river, you know, all that. So I guess if there was a theme, that would speak to me.